Hey guys, Bradley here from Armour Detail Supply, and today we're going to give you kind of an exclusive tour and access to the full ADS facility. Kind of dawned on me, and some people have told us that we've never really showed the full facility and who we are and kind of the people behind the brand and everything that we actually do in-house and stuff like that. So I figured it was a great time, especially while it's a kind of a cool winter day here in Florida, a very chilly 62 degrees. It's hard for us. So we're not doing much production today, not much detailing. So I figured it was a great time to give you guys a tour, a little bit of a backstory. So we're at one of our bays right now. This is one of our newer ones that we acquired. And then we're gonna go down to our other building, which is straight down this way. Courtney literally just whizzed around on a forklift and headed back to the bays down there. So we'll catch up with her later to our other 5 or 6 units that we have down in the other building that we own over half the building over there. Without further ado, let's head inside. This is the one that you guys are all very familiar with, that you see most of our videos being filmed at and stuff like that. It also has, as you first walk in, our offices, so super tight quarters, a couple dudes working here. So I got my desk over here in the corner. So if you ever get an email from me or anything like that, that's typically where I'm sitting. Then we have Jeff's desk over here, which is kind of operations, and that's why he's typically never not at his desk, as you can see. So probably gallivanting or doing something, God knows what. Then you've got Sean behind the camera here, his kind of editing studio and little setup here. So any of the videos you guys see on this platform on YouTube are all created right here. And then we have another little desk setup here. We have another media guy as well that does a lot of our Instagram videos, TikTok, the more short form stuff. He's not an everyday employee, so he's here a couple days a week, so he'll use that when he's in. Side note, as you can see, we didn't clean up. This is what it looks like on a day-to-day basis. It's a little messy, but we're just a bunch of dudes trying to make this work and super, super busy. So now we'll go into kind of the main bay area here. This space is about 2,000 square foot or so. So we'll kind of swing along this way. First kind of thing when you walk in is the lab and kind of miscellaneous stuff that we have to do. But this is kind of the highlight of this area, which is our lab. So we basically have everything that you would need to formulate a new product, test a batch product that we have just produced, test really anything, and just formulate, reformulate, test competitors' products, who knows what. So that's what this area is for, and this is typically where I'm working. I try to dedicate lately, shoot, Sean, what is it? Like probably half a day I'm here pretty much every day is kind of dedicated towards. The other half is either filming content, doing other stuff, running the main part of the business. But if I could be here, 12 hours a day, I would love to, because this is I really love doing this stuff. So as you can see, we got a lot of bottles going on. These are kind of test things that we're working with and have kind of, sitting idle. More stuff over here that we're messing with. A lot of people don't know too. We not only make stuff for, formulate stuff for our brand, but we actually work with a couple other partners as well. And we even are getting into doing stuff for outside of the detailing space as well. So a lot of people don't know that, and it kind of dawned on me that we've never even shared it. So that's kind of what this is about. But we have everything that you would need, like I said, to formulate products. All of our kind of samples and small batch raw materials are in here. Kind of transparency, I can't show you everything because I don't want to give you guys full access, and not only you guys, but there's also probably competitors and other people watching this video. So I don't want to show you guys too much so that you could find the suppliers we're using and the specific raw materials and stuff like that. But just kind of a quick glance, we've got this is a lot of like surfactants and things like that we have in here. A bunch of like big gallons and stuff of main like surfactants that you might need. This one's a little bit cooler. We've got a lot of silicones and stuff up there that we play with, and ceramic based kind of raw materials, fragrances, dyes, a whole slew and you know, ton of fragrances. This is kind of the cool section. A lot of people love to come in here and just sniff stuff. The guys also come over here and take my fragrances and put them in the bathroom as air fresheners. They just take a bottle and just leave it in the bathroom open as an air freshener. And then you know, then I'm missing a fragrance that I want. So beakers, you know, whatever you need, IPA, water, kind of main staples, bunch of different little beakers, a very precise weight scale, a couple mixers that we need, bunch of little different measuring devices, pH buffers for the pH meter. Obviously pH meter. We have another handheld pH meter there. Bunch of little pipettes and stuff in the back that you need for while you're measuring and mixing raw materials, especially on a small scale. It can get really small and really fine, so you have to be really fine-tuned to that. Homogenizer for more viscous mixing and making emulsions and things like that, and then viscometer to really test like viscosity, and a lot of that's used kind of in initial phase, but also we use that a lot for testing production batches to make sure viscosity is where it should be, pH is where it should be, you know, testing solids content and stuff like that for the batches to make sure everything's in line with what it should be for that product. From there, we got, you know, some raw materials that came in that we're playing with. We're always getting thrown new raw materials from suppliers. Now we've gotten such a good relationship with some of our raw material suppliers, so they're always like sending us new stuff to try, like, hey, try this. Hey, we got this new silicone that's coming out. We've got this new raw material, blah, blah, blah. So it's kind of cool. We've developed that respect with some of our raw material suppliers, and we're, you know, kind of throwing materials to try, which makes it fun for me. This area is a little bit of a mess. A lot of it was dedicated to doing a lot of our foam cannons. We're kind of done doing a lot of that stuff now. We had to go through and do a lot of modifications to the foam cannons when they came in to, you know, make them better basically for you guys. So a lot of that was kind of done here. So it's a little bit of a mess. Go over here. So typically these aren't here, but we've kind of left them up, and we have a plotter over there, which is kind of used for like paint protection film and tint and vinyl cutting. I do some of that stuff over here because the detail shop that we'll see later is usually very, very busy. So a lot of times you can't get like friends or family or, you know, whatever in. So I have that, and a lot of times we'll do some of our own stuff, or we'll do some after hours work. So that's what this was from. Over here, again, a little bit of a mess. We got some studio lights that we set up when we're taking pictures of products and new things, shirts, things like that. We've got some raw materials over here, which are staged. So this is kind of like typically a staging area where we'll stage raw materials for a production batch. So this is 11 raw materials right here that will go into a decon soap batch here in the coming days or coming week. So that's staged and ready for us to produce. A couple other random little tools and things that we don't need to go over there. And then this is what you guys are typically familiar with, you know, this kind of view angle. So this is a kind of a hybrid space for us, but I feel like this space within the next 6 to 12 months is gonna be probably kicked out, and this will be more full production rather than you know, filming and content. That'll probably have to get moved somewhere else. But for now, this is where we do some of our own detailing, obviously after hours, and, you know, product testing, stuff like that on cars. But we also do all of our video content. So filming videos for you guys, teaching you guys things, and just showing you everything about detailing, so you guys are obviously familiar with this spot. Then we get into kind of the newest edition of moving it into this bay. At first it wasn't going to come over here, but it really just made sense to be here. Just with the way the layout was set up, it was just this bay was the easiest to set this up in. So we have our full mixing, you know, setup. So this is where everything will get mixed. Got some other raw materials sitting over here on the ground that were from a previous batch. In here we've got just a lot of fittings and random stuff that you need when you're you know, working with when we're working with, you know, doing a batch, you know, setting up piping and, you know, all that sort of stuff, and, you know, stuff always breaks. and starts leaking, so gotta have stuff to fix it. So that's kind of what all that's for, cleaning chemicals, stuff down there to clean totes out and stuff like that when we're going through. And then our full water filtration system, so this is a big part. Obviously most of detailing chemicals are water. Your biggest main ingredient is water, so you wanna make sure that's perfect. So this is a full two-stage reverse osmosis system, pre-filters, sediment filters, and then the biggest thing is it also has UV sterilization. So this is like lab grade, pharmaceutical grade type water that we're using in all of our blends. Goes into a storage tank. This stores 300 gallons. Our tank here will do 500 gallons of mixing. So 300 gallons is generally perfect enough because most blends are not going to be full 500 gallons of water. So we have enough water there to do as much as we need, and it refills pretty quickly. If we drain this, it'll fill up in an hour, which takes us longer to produce a batch than that anyways. So that's kind of cool. And then this will also run periodically, so it'll produce the water, but it'll also recirculate the water through the DI system again and again and again every couple hours, just to make sure that water in that tank is absolutely perfect. Then we go to our big 500-gallon mixer. So this is one of the additions that we've had in the last 6 months or so. So giant tank, something that we're pretty proud of here to now be able to produce large batches in-house. And it's been a really fun process of getting this set up and learning. I don't know if Sean, if you want to kind of climb up there, you could probably show them what it kind of looks like inside. So huge 2 horsepower motor on the top of that thing, two hydrofoil blades, baffles. It can pretty much mix anything other than something that needs to be fully emulsified, which we typically don't do a lot of in-house. We're a lot of times, we're more considered like a mixer or a blender or something like that. So we're not emulsifying a lot of raw materials in-house ourselves. We're using raw materials that other big chemical companies are making and producing and just mixing them together. So a lot of people don't understand that with the detailing industry. They think we're like making the raw material, but there's probably no one in the detailing industry that's actually making raw materials. They're sourcing raw materials from big suppliers and things like that and mixing them together, kind of like cooking or making a smoothie sort of deal. So for the 500-gallon mixer, we've got a bunch of pumps and stuff that you need. We pump raw material in, obviously, and then we also pump the final batch out. So we got a bunch of pumps set up there, a little one here. Got a weight scale set up, so we do everything, all of our batches by weight. So you can basically just put the drums on here, we can pump it out, we go by weight, and we can get a perfectly accurate measurement. That's just the easiest way and the most accurate way to get those measurements done. And then we have a couple smaller mixers. These ones are actually used a lot more than the big boy. So we have drums. You'll see drums throughout the whole facility that we can actually mix. We can mix inside this drum for a lot of stuff. So we have like a little clamp here, and we can mount a mixer onto the side, and you can basically just mix inside the little drum, which is perfect if you're doing a smaller batch, or especially if we're doing something for someone else and they want a smaller batch. And then we have a kind of a medium-sized tank here, 150 gallons in this one that we can mix. That's a little bit more of a simpler style mixer. The nice thing about this one is it's specifically made, it's all plastic. The blade inside is actually coated with a material, so we can mix our iron, like our sodium thioglycolate chemicals, our iron and our wheel cleaner, without having any sort of reaction going on during the mixing process, which is really, really nice to make sure that we have, we're giving you not already reacted material, basically. We got another little scale over here that we'll use because some raw materials are going very small amounts, fragrances, dyes, preservatives, stuff like that go very, very small amounts. So we have a smaller scale because this one would never be able to read down to that amount. Air compressor, which kind of powers the whole operation for all the pumps and stuff. They're all air powered and stuff like that. And it's just nice to have air around. And then we have a dehumidifier because it gets humid here in Florida. And then as far as that's kind of the whole mixing operation right there. Again, like I said, this is going to expand and probably take up this whole bay here within the next 6 months or so. Our pressure washer setup that we use for the videos and stuff, Kranzel, a whole separate DI system that we had before, but we don't really use it anymore because we actually we can hook up to the lab grade water now. So when we're washing cars, we're using like the absolute best water ever, which is kind of nice. And then we got just a slew of stuff that we use here to detail and produce the videos. All of our chemicals and stuff are in these cabinets here, and we've got a lot of stuff that we test. Obviously, we're always using other people's products, so we're testing stuff and that sort of deal. So that's what we have for there. And then little air compressor if we don't want to fire the big boy up, and that sort of deal. So that's mostly this bay, sitting on Swiss tracks in here, which is nice, kind of around the mixer too. I actually really like the Swiss tracks in the mixer bay, and it's kind of funny. So we've got Swiss tracks here. I'd like to expand it because obviously we always get spills when you're mixing product and stuff like that. It just kind of happens. We don't have any drains in here, unfortunately, so you get little water spills and stuff like that. And it's nice to have the Swiss tracks so you're not standing in that. And we're kind of OG spec too because we've got our whole piping setup is all Prevost. So we're even our blending is OG spec. But last thing for this bay is outside. So this is where we store what we call the tote graveyard. So we will store a lot of our used totes there that we can use. We basically reuse them. You can come back in here, Sean. We basically reuse them as we go through. So as we use the product, we'll bring the tote here. It'll get cleaned and then reused for the next batch. So that's really nice. We don't have to keep buying new totes and things like that. We just recycle the old ones. So that is everything for this bay. Let's walk towards outside, and we'll get moving over to, like I said, the other 5 or 6 bays that we have down the street, and get to show you guys that. So we're gonna hop in the car, do a little time lapse, and we'll head over to the other bays. All right, guys, so we are back at our main building, which is where obviously most of the stuff is, including our detail shop and all the other ADS bays. This building is where I started back in 2019, literally by myself, where we did paint protection film, detailing, ceramic coatings. Literally, it was just me running the whole business in this bay, and we've kind of added other units as we kind of go through and have grown. So we added this unit over here when we grew bigger with the detail shop. When we started ADS, we added another unit, and as we've grown with ADS, we just kept on adding units. And then we obviously got the other bay over there. Ultimate goal is in 2027, once all the leases are up, to just get one giant building. But this is just kind of how it worked out, trying to grow a business and how fast we grew. But the guys over here at the detail shop are very, very busy. The shop's kind of slammed today, so we're not going to spend too much time over here, but we're just going to give you a quick run through and kind of show you what they got going on. So pretty simple little office in here for customers to come in and wait and check in, check out. Got some of our products on display here for people to purchase, obviously, as they're getting their cars done and ceramic coated. And then in here is just detail shop. They are slammed with 3 cars in here right now, 3 SUVs even, so it's even tighter. But everything they do in here is obviously the detailing, prepping stuff outside, maintenance details in here, polishing, ceramic coating. In the back over there, they do a lot of the paint protection film cutting and window tint cutting. And then in the corner over here, you've got like the full, obviously it's really tight, but you got the full, kind of garage cabinet set up to have all the products and house all the products and stuff. A lot of lighting in here, specifically made for doing the ceramic coatings and the paint protection film and stuff like that. So go through this bay, and then the other bay over here is where we kind of expanded and went into when we got doing more PPF and just more jobs and more employees. So over here now is more so dedicated to like the clean room. So they do all the window tint and they do all the paint protection film over here. All the cool guys work over here. So you got Casey, who does all the window tint, Ramiro, and Jeremy. A lot of you guys know Jeremy because he's in a lot of the Instagram content. Always repping the ADS hat. So they do all the paint protection film installs over here. They love to leave bubbles and put dirt under film, and play with plastic all day basically. So that's this bay. Super nice lighting, super clean in here, and just a great environment to lay plastic and film. And now everyone's going to lunch, which is good. We get some time to ourselves. So we're gonna go into now, those are the 2 bays that we have for the detail shop. Bay 3 is where we do a lot of the filling, which you guys have probably seen a lot too. We do a lot of content on our filling, kind of showing you that side on Instagram, but we haven't really shown you guys too much on YouTube. Let me turn some lights on in here. They just got done doing a batch of Amplify, so there's actually no one filling in here right now, which gives us some more time and more room, because when they're filling, it gets really tight in there, because you'll see we're running a pretty small operation, but all of our labels right here next to Sean kind of stacked up. Luckily, we have label suppliers that are very close, a couple hours away from us, so we're able to get labels pretty quickly, so we don't keep a huge stock on hand, but everything that we need is there. Then we've got multiple sets of fillers. These are all for small 16-ounce bottles, depending on the product, depending on the viscosity, depending on the makeup of the product, will determine what we use and why they're made. We do everything very kind of manually, semi-manually for filling the actual bottles, just because we're not like Dawn dish soap, who makes one product and just churns it out, millions and millions of bottles a day. We have a lot of SKUs that are very different, so it's hard to mix those products and use one filler. I mean, you can do it, but there's a lot of downtime and cleaning and stuff like that. So this allows us, and for the size we are, just makes it a lot easier for us. So we've got a filler here where similar we talked about in the mixing bay, where we have one that can do, it's all plastic made and coated so that you can do the iron chemicals. This is a filler literally specifically for that. Everything in this is either rubber or plastic, so it's not going to react with anything during the filling process. So you're getting a perfect bottle with no iron reaction happening before it even gets into the bottle. Piston filler, which is mostly for like really thick creamy liquids, so like tire dressing, stuff like that. Our favorite filler, which does pretty much everything, is this guy that you can just the product gets fed into here, has like a little float like a toilet to stop it once it gets high, and then you just literally put a bottle and it fills it perfectly, and you take the bottle out, so you can run through a lot of bottles with this. And then we have another piston filler that we separate. Actually, this is for soaps, because those tend to be a little bit thicker too, so the piston filler is good for that. But we have one separated from the dressings versus the soaps, so we're not cross-contaminating and things like that. And we have a little setup here for some of our coating labels, because we do all of our coating filling and coating labeling and stuff like that in-house. All of our direction cards and stuff like that are here, ready for us to use and pack and kit everything, because we kit everything in-house too. So a lot of people don't know that. And then we got down below a lot of the extra parts and stuff for the fillers, because one thing I've learned is, if something's gonna break, it's gonna break. Little board here that we used to use a lot. We used to do everything very manually, where I would write the schedule of what needs to be filled this week and what needs to be mixed this week. Now we've gone a little bit more digital, and we've got that on like a software system, which we integrated in the last couple months, which is really nice, rather than me having to come out here and write it. So that helps. And then we get into the main fill bay. So like I said, they just kind of packed up for the day. They finished their batch of Amplify already, so we are good. And this is, again, we'll kind of start in the back and go towards the front. It'll probably be a little easier that way. So finished totes. So you saw where the tote graveyard was. You saw where the mixing happens. We pump them into these totes, and then they come here and they get stored. And we'll store them until we're ready to fill. Sometimes we won't fill them all at one time, depending on the demand and stuff like that. But we like to keep around a month or two, maybe 3 months at most, supply in here, because we want you guys getting the freshest amount, the freshest product too. We don't want stuff sitting around. So we try to not keep too much inventory on hand, and we can just produce as needed. Gallons, a lot of gallons, and plastic bottles and stuff like that over there. Again, more drums over here. bunch of different, little, we can fill with like gravity for gallons. We'll just hook it up to a tote that's up, on one of these top rows, and we can fill these very manually into a gallon, which is super nice. And we have a lot of these like little kind of gas station style pumps that you can also pump the liquid out to. From there, you're basically filling it. We put it onto the carts, and then we'll kind of roll the carts over, and this takes care of everything else after the filling. So the only thing we have to do really manually or semi-manually is putting the liquid into the bottle. From there, we put them on the conveyor system, and we'll overlay some videos because they're not doing it right now. It's just easier because I wouldn't be able to talk about this and be able to walk around this easy if there was people working in here. So this was easier, and we'll just overlay some clips for you guys to kind of see how everything works. But caps get loaded up in here, automatically placed onto the bottle. They get cinched down and capped and screwed down automatically through the system. They keep running through. They go through the induction sealer, which seals the foil liner that we have on the caps to prevent any sort of leaks. And then it goes through, gets labeled, so we run the labels through here, it'll get labeled, and then it goes to the end table where we basically take them off. From there, we go into milk crates. This was actually a great idea that we found from another manufacturer that just changed our game, because before this we were using cardboard boxes, and they only had a certain lifespan before they would just start to get kind of crappy. So these milk crates, we buy them once, and we can reuse and reuse them all the time. So we put the gallons, we put the 16-ounce bottles up into those, and then they go into kind of inventory storage from there as a finished product and a finished line item, which is kind of the end of this kind of process. So from there too, we have kind of our old setup, but we still do use it a lot. So, back in the day, a year ago, when it was like just me by myself, or me and one other person, we labeled every bottle manually. Now this system is like a godsend and a dream. But there was a time when everything was pumped by hand. There was a time when everything was mixed in a drum with a mixer that you would literally have to hold. There was a time when we were labeling every bottle like this, capping everything by hand, and all that sort of stuff. So it shows the kind of the progression, but we still keep this around because we use this for our coating. So we use this to label all the coating bottles. This is actually the coating filler. So this is a peristaltic filler. It's a very manual system, but it's something where there's no motor here, and there's nothing that touches the product, and it only flows through a silicone tubing. So there's no contamination with coating and things like that. So we're able to get coating bottles filled without introducing any air or introducing any oil, or really contacting anything again other than fresh silicone tubing every single time we do a batch, which is nice. And then we have an induction sealer here, which we actually use for the gallons. Similar one over there, but this is just a handheld one that you can put onto a gallon and seal those. And it again, a manual process in all of our different caps and stuff that we use down here. If you look up, we are again running a very tight ship. So we use all the storage we can. So I mean, luckily here we've got very high ceilings, so we're very fortunate that we can go pretty high, especially with these totes. So we're able to fit a lot of totes in here of finished product, but we're also using all the storage up here to manually put stuff up there. So that's a lot of bottles, of our 16-ounce bottles up there. There's a lot of coating boxes all the way up there to the right in the back for our main like pro and quartz boxes. And then we have a lot of like our smaller boxes, which come flat pack, so you can fit a lot more in a box for like our trim and glass wheel, phobic, things like that. And then this is kind of just a little thing for kind of just random stuff. Like we got a mixer paddle here that we obviously use because as we're mixing or as we're filling the product, we're also mixing it too, just to make sure that's perfect. You don't really have to, but it's a step that we take to just continue mixing that product while it's being filled, so that there's, you're getting a full consistent batch as you downfill it, and there's no phase separation or anything like that. And then just a bunch of little tools and stuff. Sometimes they have like partial gallons, and stuff that'll kind of sit here. and we'll just kind of give to the guys or whatever as we're getting through the end of a batch, and just some random chemicals and stuff that we use also around here to clean some of the material, and stuff like that, some of the fillers and things of that nature. So that's this bay over here, and then from there, so the product's been made, it's been taken over here, it's been filled into bottles, it's been capped, it's been ready, it's put into crates. Again, then it goes into inventory storage, so that's where we go down to our next bay, which would be kind of the next cycle of the products. So we're trying to follow a kind of a cycle here for you guys of going into that. And then this bay is also where we do all of our shipping for our own website. So obviously we do our own fulfillment, we're not 3PL'd, so all of that gets packaged by our team. It gets boxed and everything cared for, all of that. Come on, Sean, let me let you go through all of that. So that's this bay doesn't have an office, so we've consolidated everything. Sorry, Courtney, I'm filming a video. Okay. So that everything's kind of consolidated in here for us to be able to fulfill. So anytime you guys place an order on our website, this is where it's being picked from. So we got most of our products in here, and you'll see a lot of you'll see a lot of the accessories and stuff. This is the shipping desk. I'm not sure if you can get that, Sean, but that's where all that stuff is, and just all the little things, stickers, and the mints that you guys all know and love and get talked about so much, and all of our air fresheners and all the different box types and stuff like that, sprayers ready to throw in the boxes. So we do all of this in-house, and Courtney in the back here is the one that handles a lot of that for us. Luckily, most of our pickups have been done for the day, but we do have some ready to go out for tomorrow. Got some coatings here kind of on the end cap for this. So this whole little office area is kind of just for fulfillment, but that's growing a little bit, and we're getting a lot more products, so we might have to expand into like an actual fulfillment bay here shortly. So kind of we'll go this way in the unit. So we've got a forklift that we use. We've got to have a forklift to move everything around. Oh look, there's Jeff. He wasn't slacking like we thought. All of our box types that we use, depending on if it's a wholesale order or a retail order or anything like that, we've got all the different sizes that we need to ship anything that we have, from really, really tiny one single coating all the way up to you guys ordering multiple packages of products that Jeff so carefully has put together in one go. It's so we have all of that here. Again, extra storage because our picking department has gotten so much bigger with like adding shirts and towels and all the accessories. So we're kind of expanding, and it's kind of shoved over here in the corner. Bunch of different, just little things that we need, right? All the stuff, the, fragile stickers, this side up stickers, the wrapping for all of our pallets and things like that. We use like these little, things to go on top of the pallets so that people listen to us and don't stack on top of our stuff and squish pallets going out to our wholesalers. All the different little, parts and pieces that go along with trying to get something shipped out properly, tape and, all of that sort of stuff. And then this is kind of built in a way where we've got a lot of different racking. So we have smaller storage here of all of our, bulk towels and stuff, which are a lot of TRC and some of the other stuff, applicators and things like that here. A desk where Courtney can also sit, and she'll do a lot of kit making here. So if we're, making kits like for our wheel coatings and putting those together, or sitting through and organizing all of our, labels and things like that. Like a lot of people don't think, they're like, oh, it's so, just add a label, like, whatever. But like when you think of it from a business standpoint, someone has to sit here and organize all these labels, make sure that they're all perfectly, in a place that are easy for people to find, and organized, and make sure that they also get to you without getting crumpled up in shipping. So that's a big feat too, and also folding shirts and things like that will go out to you guys in the nice little bags that we have for those. And then here is again the final kind of life cycle of the product before it gets out to you guys, where it comes from the other bay in the crates and is filled with whatever it is, and they get put up onto these pallets. We even have excess totes over here of finished product because we're growing so much. But we have a lot of bulk kind of excess kind of put up onto the shelves, all wrapped, that might not be needed for maybe a couple weeks or a month. And then we have all stuff that will get used within the next couple weeks here, kind of along the bottom. And what we'll do is this will feed into obviously where we ship to you guys in that bay, but also a large part of our business is shipping to our wholesale distributors like TRC and Vital Detail Supplies and Carzilla and Clean Garage and all, TRC EU, and getting stuff out to Australia and all that sort of stuff has picked up a lot for us as we've grown. So we kind of put a pallet here like you kind of see here, and we're able to build a pallet of everything they need very efficiently because everything is so close. And then once we're done with that pallet, we'll just move it out, next pallet in, and we can build a pallet super quickly with everything literally at arm's length of grabbing. We've got buckets over here. You guys love our crystal buckets. Those are all kind of sitting over here. Little random stuff kind of along the edges. Press-all bottles ready to go. Some drift bottles. And then same, we are using the top storage to the max. So you've got up there crap ton of sprayers boxes, probably 30, 40,000 sprayers probably sitting up there ready to grab as we need them. And then a bunch more, extra, whether it's towels or press-all bottles or boxes. There's more coating boxes up there. So we're trying to use these spaces as much as humanly possible to, again, we're paying for this square foot as much as we use of the air, and that is, saves us a lot of money on rent and stuff, especially in the area that we're at. So that is kind of the main couple bays, and then we have a couple more that we'll walk to. So we do have two other bays. One of them, not going to be able to show you because it houses a lot of our like raw materials and things like that we could be transparent and show you a lot of this stuff, right? But there's some stuff that we have to keep to ourselves, and that is our suppliers, our raw material suppliers, what raw materials we're using. We have to be very cautious about that because, there's not only you guys watching, but like I said, some of our competitors are watching this and trying to get ideas and seeing what we're doing. So we got to be a little bit weary in that regard, so we can't take you into that bay, but that bay is basically kind of like what you just saw, a lot of pallet racking with just drums and drums and drums of product that are coming from raw material suppliers from all over. We have some stuff come from Germany. We've got some stuff a lot of stuff in the U.S., all over the U.S., California, Kansas, Missouri. We got a really big supplier here locally, which really helps. But it's just all raw materials with drums and drums. It's kind of boring, but again, we can't really show you that because I don't want to kind of leak something that we shouldn't be leaking and give people access to some of our trade secrets, I guess. But the next bay we can show you is kind of our excess storage. This is one of the more recent bays that we got because we've just been running out of space, especially when we're fulfilling like a big order. We might have an order from a distributor that's 8, 10, 12 pallets at one time, and you got to have enough room for the product to go into those pallets, but you also have to have enough room for those pallets when they're done, right? You got to have room for 12 pallets to sit around until they get picked up. So this bay has been kind of an addition to us, which is nice because it's just straight warehouse. We're right on the other side of the actual detail shop's paint protection film area. So right on the other side of that wall is the paint protection film shop. So we're pretty much on the whole other side of the bay. Let me turn the lights on. So this is kind of, like I said, just extra storage realistically. So we haven't put racking in here yet because we haven't really needed it. A lot of the stuff we can kind of stack on top of itself, but we've got like empty, our stack of pallets that we need. We've got a lot of our empty containers in here that we're ready to use when we're making product. We've got a whole pallet of press-all bottles, a whole pallet of coatings, more sprayers, more like foam cannon stuff there. Foam cannons, 30 mil coatings, 50 mil coatings, a lot of coatings, a bunch of pallets of foam cannons here, and then a bunch of pallets of boxes as well. The biggest thing, or not boxes, bottles. The biggest thing a lot of people don't think about too is we're really fortunate in our gallons, which are the bigger item. We're able to get locally, like very, very locally within 30 minutes, and we actually get them delivered next day. So we can order smaller quantities at a time and not have to house such a big thing, because if you think about it, if you're going through 5,000, 10,000 gallons of product a month, you need that amount of gallons, and that's a lot of empty space to store, right? The gallons aren't small. So we're fortunate in that regard, but our 16-ounce bottles are a custom item. You're not going to find another bottle like our 16-ounce bottle on the market, because they are custom to us in the way they're shaped, they're made, the threading, and also just the appearance of them, right? So we order those in larger and larger batches. Typically, we're ordering those in 100,000, 200,000 at a time. That's when this gets very, very full, because we have just the whole thing stored with plastic. So we literally have, rent here in Florida along the coast for plastic. So it's definitely an interesting thing, and it's just something you don't think about until you get into it, like how much storage you're really going to need for a lot of this stuff. And it's not even just the finished products, but it's the, all the supplemental stuff that you need: boxes, bottles, sprayers, towels. That stuff takes up a lot of room. But we're getting there. We're learning. We are, like I said, the pursuit of what did I say, Sean? The pursuit of functional chaos. That very much describes ADS as a whole. We're just a bunch of dudes learning as we go, having fun, doing everything the way that we would want it to be done. We are very hands-on. Everything is done by us in-house. The only thing I haven't really done is introduce you to a lot of our employees. I was hoping they were going to be a little bit more around while we were going through. Courtney was over there in the fulfillment bay and stuff. My mom also works for us, and another one for the filling bay. They kind of run the filling bay, but again, they had just finished a batch, which kind of helped us out because we could kind of see into there a little bit more. But yeah, it's this is kind of an inside look at everything about who we are, how we do it, why we do it. We are very proud of the way we do things, the way it's all handled by us in-house as much as possible. I could never own and run a business or be a part of a business where it's all just outsourced. It's just not me. It's not DJ. It's not Jeff. It's not Sean. It's not my mom. It's not Courtney. This is not the way we would want to do things. So our whole team is very much on the idea of let's do everything we can, make it very personalized. And it helps too, because we're able to, you guys have some special requests sometimes. I get emails with special requests, or Jeff will get an email with special requests, and we're able to tell Courtney, hey, in this package, can you throw this in extra? Or, this guy, had an issue with this. Can we give him one of these? Or, anything like that, or, anything. Like we're able to do that and not have to, with a 3PL or, doing it outsourced, you wouldn't be able to have that personal touch. You wouldn't be able to give you guys a mint every time. You wouldn't be able to give you guys an air freshener for every order. And that's just the little things that we think stack up to really make ADS and who we believe we should be, and the type of company that we aspire to be, basically. So I hope you guys liked this kind of rambling. It's probably an hour long video, maybe more, but it gives you guys an inside look of who we are and how we do things and all of that. If there's any questions you guys have, just leave them down below. We can make another video. We're happy to, or I can answer them. And also, if there's anything you guys want to see more about this process, whether it's the mixing of the chemicals or the filling, or more raw stuff like that, we can definitely look into that. It's we got to be careful, like I said, because there are people watching that are watching for other reasons other than trying to learn about it, or trying to just trying to get an insight, right? So we do have to be a little bit careful about that, especially around the mixing the chemicals, because it's hard to hide what's in the drum when there's a big old label of what it is or whatever. So, but we're definitely open to the opportunity of doing that, and I think it would be really, really fun and really unique, because there's not a lot of companies that even have the opportunity to do this because they don't do it, and there's very few that have the opportunity to do it but also do it and show you guys that. So I think ADS can kind of lead the charge on that and be really transparent and show you guys how everything's done, you know, to the best degree or the most that we can. So that's it for me here in the dungeon of Storage Bay, and now it's time for you guys to get out there and, as always, have some fun detailing and stay warm for this winter season.